If you ride motorcycles and enjoy long distance travel, chances are that you have dreamed about quitting your job and living on the road. My name is Amanda Zitto, and in spring 2016, I quit my job of 3 years to travel solo full-time for 2.5 months. I didn't have any kind of plans about what job I would have when I got back. I just knew how much money I needed to save to do the trip and to pay my bills while I was gone, and that's it. I got this comment on my video about saving money for your next trip from Punishers California LEMC Southland. These are great tips not only to save for riding trips, but to accomplish any goal in general. Thank you for putting it together. Thank you. For some of us, the main issue is time. Maybe you will share in the future how you found the guts to quit your job and start your quest, what the consequences of that particular decision, or maybe not. Thank you, Punishers California, for leaving me this comment. So I thought that I would share with all of you how I did the thing. A little backstory first. I moved to Portland, Oregon from my home state of Montana in 2010 to go to art school. To say it nicely, I was really grateful that I had the opportunity to go to art school. I was grateful for the scholarship that I received that made it even remotely possible for me to go, but I spent a lot of time in my own head, and it wasn't exactly everything that I dreamed it to be. I spent a lot of time beating myself up and feeling all around really crappy. And it wasn't just one thing. It was a combination of a lot of things. Being in a new city that I didn't know very well. I came from a ranching background, which didn't gel very well with a lot of the people that I was meeting at school, which just led to me being super homesick. And I was crazy stressed out with the amount of work that we were being expected to put out at school. All of these things kind of bundled up, and my brain is just like, we have to fix this somehow. I lucked into meeting this woman who owned her own tattoo shop. And through this once of a lifetime opportunity into my lap, or so I thought, she was going to let me be her apprentice. Of course, I was crazy naive. This was about halfway through art school, and I didn't know that it was not normal to pay your mentor for the privilege of being their apprentice. The part that is important to the story is that I was truly miserable. I loved when I actually got to tattoo, and I'm really grateful that I learned that skill, but I'm not sure that it was worth the cost of being mentally manipulated and abused every single day that I walked through the door of that shop. I spent 3 or 4 days out of every single week on the phone crying to my parents because it just was not okay. Being an apprentice is really hard work. Being a tattoo apprentice is really hard work, and you spend a lot of time being the shop dog, essentially. But after having a conversation with the revolving door of artists coming in and out of that shop, I learned that my situation was much worse than normal. Looking back on it now, I really think that there are only 3 types of jobs in this world. Number 1, what I would call a normal job. You don't really want to be there every single day. There are bad or frustrating parts about the job. There are also good parts, whether that's being paid a living wage, enjoying the people that you work with, or just enjoying a certain part of your job. You know, the things that keep you on the edge of, I want a new job and I can't really leave this job. Number 2, a job that you are totally immersed in. These are the jobs that you work overtime for. You are truly and utterly invested in what you're doing and how well the business is doing. Number 3, there's the job that makes you truly and utterly miserable. The environment is hostile. You never know exactly where you stand with your boss. It is extremely unhealthy. They mentally manipulate you to believe that you are truly a piece of shit and you can't get a job anywhere else. You have a lot of thoughts about self-harm because surely that would be a lot better than what is happening right now. There might be one thing that you like about it, and that thing is really tiny and doesn't happen a lot. It became really clear to me that I was in number 3. I think a lot more people are in number 1 and just kind of feel like their situation is worse off than it actually is. And it could be really hard to leave that kind of situation. But believe me, there is nothing like a truly toxic environment to motivate you to make a change. I realized that I didn't really feel like myself anymore. I graduated art school in a blur and it didn't feel real. I had 1 year left on my apprenticeship and The end was in sight, but I was still in a black pit. So I made a decision that I was going to tour the back roads of Montana to try to reground myself. And I knew that I needed to do it alone. Planning that trip is what kept me sane for the last year of working in that awful place. I was cleaning houses on my days off from the tattoo shop to try to bring some kind of money in. Every time that I did get to tattoo at the shop, half of my money went to my mentor, so I couldn't rely on that being a steady source of income. I stopped doing anything unnecessary, and I ate a lot of canned soup. I made a whole spreadsheet dedicated to my budget. I listed all the places that I wanted to go, how much it cost to visit there, how much the campgrounds in that area cost, and I did the math about how much money I needed to put away every week, and I stuck to it. It was a pretty bare bones budget, and I definitely don't recommend anybody doing it this way, but I saved up for gas first, then enough to pay all my credit card bills while I was gone. I had a meager $10 a day budgeted for food, plus a little bit extra for certain restaurants that I really wanted to stop at, and some money for campsites. And I bought the America the Beautiful pass so that I wouldn't have to worry about paying for every single national park that I was going to go through. What I didn't budget for was emergencies, mechanical failures on the bike, or God forbid if I had to break my rule of no hotels. If you've watched the pilgrimage, you know that I had more than a few emergencies. So I left Portland with about $2,000. Total unplanned costs, including 2 tow trucks, parts for the bike, 5 unplanned hotel stays, and other miscellaneous, was about $530. It didn't matter that I didn't have everything that I needed. I was just excited to be on the road. I won't talk too much about the trip itself. If you don't already know, you can watch the whole pilgrimage. I vlogged the whole thing starting in Portland to Moab and my big loop of Montana. What I will say is that it was 100% worth it. In the true nature of a pilgrimage, I got what I wanted out of it and a little bit more that I didn't know that I needed. When I got back, I definitely floundered for a little while. Post-trip depression is definitely a real thing. I went back to cleaning houses for a little bit, but after I kind of got used to daily life again, I focused on my goal of getting a job that I would enjoy at least a little bit, and I did it. I got a full-time job at a motorcycle dealership about a month and a half after I finished the pilgrimage. This is the part where you're like, that's cool, Amanda, but what good does this do me? So here are my tips so that you can make the jump. First and foremost, you need to get over the mental hurdle of quitting your job, or potentially asking for extended time off. One of the things that I learned on my trip, and I think is really important to remember, is that if you're willing to work hard, you have a good attitude, you're willing to learn, you can get another job. It won't always be the dream job or exactly what you want to be doing, but knowing that you can get another job is the first step to being able to quit your current one. If quitting your job isn't the thing that's holding you back, I recommend making a pros and cons list and having a good hard look at all of the cons that you're listing, whether it's financial strains, if you're scared of traveling alone, if you're scared of getting hurt, or what if the bike breaks down. All of these things have answers and a way to get around it. You need to teach your brain to look at obstacles in a different perspective. Instead of thinking, I can't do this, because you need to think, how do I overcome this? How do I do this even though? To a certain extent, a lot of these obstacles are a matter of planning. And things that you can't plan for, it's a matter of learning to believe that everything will work out in the end. Long-term travel is possible if you want it bad enough and are willing to learn and be flexible. The next part is setting yourself a deadline. You need to make a plan and a date of when you're going to leave, and you need to stick to it. Depending on what kind of person you are, how much money you have in savings, and how willing you are to go with the flow will affect how long you need to save, plan, and mentally prepare yourself. I personally took about a year to plan and save for the pilgrimage, and I already had my deadline. It was the end of my 3-year apprenticeship. For you, it could be your birthday, it could be the end of a season, beginning of a season. It doesn't really even have to have a meaning. You just need to set the date and go. And when I mean go, you really need to go. You need to hold yourself accountable to that deadline. If telling a lot of other people about your plans will hold you more accountable, do it. Last but not least comes the planning. I recommend leaving with some kind of plan. It doesn't have to be as detailed as mine. That is totally okay. I am a spreadsheet junkie. Not everybody is. You don't need to know where you'll be every night. And most likely, if you make that kind of plan, it will change. But have some kind of generic, I want to explore Nevada, I want to go to Alaska, I want to drive coast to coast. Some kind of generic goal is recommended. How long you plan to actually be gone is totally up to you. How many countries you want to visit, all that kind of stuff. If you plan to travel for multiple years, I recommend planning for several months and doing a lot of research about visas and carnets and all of the paperwork. If you want to know how I plan almost every single trip that I make, there's a link in the description to an article that I did where I list out every single step that I take to make my trips happen. Every plan and person is going to be different, but there is one thing that is true amongst everybody with long distance travel is that you will not come back the same person as you left. I think the thing that I wish that I would have remembered halfway through my trip is this. Remember that this is supposed to be fun. You have no responsibilities besides taking care of the bike and yourself. Enjoy the landscapes that you're riding through. Take a moment and breathe it in. Write down more. Take more photos because you're gonna want to remember every single detail for the rest of your life. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button. And leave a comment down below if you have any grand travel dreams. I would love to hear them. As always, there's a link down in the description if you liked my shirt. I have a Redbubble shop with a bunch of other moto designs. You can get stickers, shirts, coffee mugs, whatever you like. I am also doing Inktober this year, and if you don't know what that is, it's where I draw and ink every single day of October, and I've been selling all of those originals in my Etsy shop, and I'm calling it the Paying My Medical Bills When Drawing at a Time series. So if you're interested in that, there is also a link down below for my Etsy shop. Thank you guys so much for supporting me through this broken wrist journey. I am still not allowed to ride. Here's hoping that I will be told that I can ride again in January or something. I do live in the Pacific Northwest, so it's mostly rain. It will be cold, but you can believe as soon as the doctor says that I can ride, I'll be riding no matter what the weather is outside. I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I'll see you later. Oh, I guess I should show you guys my new camera. Huge, huge, huge thanks to the doctor and the dropout, or Hazer Live on Instagram, for selling me this amazing camera. You guys should definitely go check out their YouTube channel and their Instagram. He is an amazing photographer. Go give him some love for supporting my journey with the broken camera. And now I have this magnificent beast to film on, and I am so excited, you guys. You don't even know.